Welcome back to Southampton International Boat Show 2022. This week we have a rather interesting interview with FlexiSail, a unique way of getting afloat.
So we're on the outer pontoons here, and there's a company called FlexiSail, and there's quite an innovative way of getting into sailing if you can't actually afford to sail your own boat. So I'm here with Grenville Hauser, who is the training director, and he's going to tell us a little bit about FlexiSail. Grenville, what's the actual sort of idea behind the operation?
So some of the idea behind FlexiSail is basically it allows people to own a boat. They actually don't own it, but they have a membership of this club, and that allows them to learn on a particular boat and then gain experience in the Solent on that boat, and then we encourage them to go further the more competent they become.
So do you take people that have got experience at sailing and want to go to a bigger boat, or can you start from scratch?
You can start from scratch by all means, and we'll take you from zero to hero all the way up to your yacht masters. But also for those that are very experienced in sailing, very often this is a better way, a more cost-effective way of doing their sailing, because it's cheaper than charter, and you have the same boat, and the boat is very much the boat you really want in terms of size and luxury and your type of cruising that you want to do. Plus we have a performance cruiser, so if you want to get into racing and lots of tweakability, we've got one of those. We tailor make it to whatever you need.
So what boats do you have in your fleet?
So we've got some brand new Hansas. This is the 418 just behind you. That's a brand new Sun Odyssey that's sort of come on. Those are brand new boats. We've got another 4 Hansas coming of different sizes. We've got a boat called Preferita, which is one of the Salona 380s. She's a performance cruiser. She's the one with all the tweaky bits.
And how about catamarans? Are they in the fleet?
Catamarans, yeah. We have 2 cats at the moment, and I want to keep us that because I think we're about the only school that teaches cat handling. And with so many more people wanting to go chartering the BVI and the Mediterranean, invariably they're chartering cats and yet have little experience on how to handle them. So we find, and I think what I'm going to do, Simon, is I'm going to put together a 2-day course for cat handlers, which we can put out to the general public rather than just members, because there's such a demand for how do you handle a cat.
Yeah. It is slightly different, and it does have this little bit of quirkiness, doesn't it? And so if you're going in for cat sailing, and I was a monohull person before, it did actually take me a few months to get my confidence with the boat, because you've got a very powerful boat there with these catamarans.
Yeah, and that whole underwater configuration is completely a reverse from what it is on a monohull. So, it goes keel, then you've got the rudder, and then you've got the prop right aft. So the whole balance of the boat is completely different. If you've done any cat sailing, you'll know that when you go up to windward, she stalls like crazy, and then she'll go into irons quite quickly. So you normally sort of back the jib to tack it through, but also manoeuvring. If you've just got one engine, you've got to know how to balance the boat with a little bit of headsail to make sure that one engine can be balanced by a headsail. There's tricks to it.
And you mentioned that you've got a location in Solent. Did you have any other locations?
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, that we sail out of Lymington. That's also Solent. A couple of the boats are going down to Poole. We've always had a boat in Poole, and I think the new owners are looking to maybe expand that as well. I know the Little Shrimper's going over to Poole, and one of the motorboats is going over to Poole as well. So
just going back to the sort of concept of the organisation, you buy a share in a boat, do you? And then you get so many days, hours per month, or how does it work?
Yeah, so it is exactly what you say. It's a very clever, I think, scheme that Richard and Sue came up with of a boat share. So it's like a timeshare but afloat. And that means that is your boat. Every 2 months you start a new rotation, and you get a guaranteed number of days in the midweek or at the weekend, depending on your membership, and that guarantees you time afloat. And then as soon as you get into that 2 month rotation, you book your time afloat and the boat's yours.
Okay, it sounds like quite a good idea really, to get a nice new boat. And let's be honest, a lot of us who own a boat, we probably only sail it 3 or maybe 4 times a month. So it seems like quite a good way of getting into a new boat with a bit more flexibility.
Yeah, and all your fuel's paid for, all of your mooring fees are paid for, all the boat maintenance is carried out by a separate team. So all of that is taken care of. Obviously you don't don't have on your own boat. You don't have the little frilly bits and the you know the sort of that you. But what the hell? I mean, on on a charter boat you don't get that either. But apart from that, you can just come along with your gear and make it your boat for the week or the weekend or whatever you're doing, whatever sailing you do. So yeah, it does work. And that whole point that you made, you can start. You know, if you start, I spoke to a guy who was starting out who'd never done any sailing before. So you can get him on a smaller boat and start him on a 31 footer. And then when he feels confident with that, he can progress up to a 41, or he can go onto a cat, or you can try with a cat, and if a cat doesn't suit you, you can pop down to a monohull.
Absolutely fantastic idea, I think. Grenville, thank you very much. That's all about FlexiSail.
Thank you, Simon. Yeah, and I hope to see you afloat soon.